The month of tomfoolery is upon us, and with that comes the annual April Fool's Tour from the team over at Monologue MVM. This is Operation Last Laugh, a collection featuring 7 new missions on 7 maps created by the Monologue MVM community, created to boggle the mind and produce some giggles, and you know what? They do a good job at that. This year was no different, but the most important thing about these fun missions is that it's for a good cause. These missions are here to bring more awareness to Food for the Hungry, which is an organisation that elevates vulnerable communities from extreme poverty. If you do decide to donate, you'll also receive some in-game medals depending on how much you donate. Understandably though, money is quite tight for a lot of people at the moment, but if you do have the means, I would urge you to go ahead and donate, but there's no pressure if you can't. So let's take a look at what those folks over at Monologue MVM have cooked up for us this year. So Operation Last Laugh ran from the 1st of April to the 17th of April, so unfortunately by the time you see this video, the operation will be over. Let's just jump into it. So I'm going to cover these missions in no specific order, but we are going to start with Sensational Syrup. Now Sensational Syrup was my first experience of this new operation, and I must say, it was a very good one to introduce yourself with. Also, you know, quite tough at points to be fair. So the first round, the main enemies I think were bananas. We had to fight bananas. 3 bananas to be precise, and these banana bots also fired bananas. So all in all, just a lot of potassium involved. Round 2 was the friendly round, and we were forced to fight spy crabs. The horrors, those pure endangered species. There was also a train too, as well as this flying guy, who almost actually deployed the bomb. Like, we had no idea he was there, he was just vibing. And then the conga bots came, and I just could not resist joining them. Like, look at them, they're having so much fun. You'd be a fool not to get involved with them as well, but they conquered a bit too hard at points. Then in round 3, the Canteen Abuser came. A very strong, very quick scout. Then some healing Buster Basher scouts, which actually healed you as they hit you, which was a very nice surprise. Tank? I don't know what's going on with the tank. I don't know what's going on here. I'm watching the footage. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to lie. What is happening? And finally some speedy brass beast boys. That is a very hard sentence to say. Speedy brass beast boys. I like the brass beast. It is my go-to MVM minigun, and just seeing them zoom around was a joy, to be honest, because I know you can be very slow with the brass beast. Thank you, Moonlight MVM, for making my dreams come true. Then move on to a blast from the past. 3 infinite rapid fire soldiers with varying phases of rapid firing. These bots were kind of mental, but nothing some destroy projectile upgrades couldn't fix. It's got to be one of my favourite upgrades in MVM. Just, you know, you got those crit soldiers staring down on you, you just destroy their rockets. Life's good, man, life's good. Then I got switched to soldier with some epic custom weapons, such as this overcharged saw. It took a bit of getting used to. When I did hit though, it did some damage. Like, I'm talking loads of damage. Oh, and this happened. Whee! Personally, I didn't enjoy the rocket launcher and found the shotgun much more effective. As you can see, it didn't go well. So I hopped onto Pyro, my favourite class, and it was much more effective. But I did enjoy playing with these custom weapons in MVM. I'd love to see more missions do this, because it really, you know, forces you to change from the meta that you know and love if you play MVM quite a lot like I do. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun to experience these new weapons, because we know TF2 aren't going to add any anytime soon. And finally, we were graced with this corrupted round. All these error explosions and this giant soldier that shot other soldiers, followed by this huge error bot, the Vast Error, if we want to go by his government name. It was a very interesting way to end the tour, and it was actually a very enjoyable mission all in all, but this round, very crazy, which is kind of a staple of these sort of April Fool's MVM missions that we've seen. And yeah, I enjoyed it. The corrupted round, you know, it's fun. They had a bit of overarching story for the whole tour, so fair enough. I did enjoy it. So all in all, that was a very fun mission with some very unique and interesting enemy designs. And, you know, they were fun to fight and could cause problems if we didn't take care of them, as was seen in a few rounds. But yeah, Sensational Syrup, very good. I think it was a very good mission to introduce me to this year's operation. I enjoyed it. So yeah, it was very, very solid. And then for the second mission, we're going Collateral Damage. Now this is an engineer-only mission, forced to play engineer as we are gathered to defend a skunk factory and a fungi park using our beloved sentry guns. Hopefully I could do Uncle Dane proud with some of my engineering in this mission, but, you know, I'm not the best gamer, so sorry Dane if I am a stain on the world of engineers. I do apologise. The most interesting part of this mission are the unique Sentry Buster variants we encounter. This round sets that up with the standard Sentry Busters we all know and love. Well, I wouldn't say love, but we all know and tolerate. Going on to round 2, and this introduced the first unique Buster with the Anti-Gravity Buster. This fellow glows purple, and when it detonates, it does this. It makes some very fun sentry escapes and repositioning, and can also affect robots as well, as we saw. So it can really introduce a bit of chaos to your average engineer gameplay. And you know what? It's fun. I enjoyed it. Round 3 introduces the Mystery Buster. Very menacing. It also introduces the Inferno Buster, which is just a Sentry Buster on fire. And, as you guessed, can also set players on fire. It's like a walking napalm bomb. Thank God the US didn't invent this. In round 4, we see the wonderful Healing Buster, which does exactly what it says on the tin. Heal, in case you didn't know. This was a very useful buster and kept us alive against a very strong wave. Honestly, just seeing a nice little Sentry Buster come and heal us, it was lovely. You know, maybe they're hated for no reason. Then on round 5, brought us the reusable Sentry Buster, which exploded our sentries multiple times. All in the name of recycling, of course. Greta Thunberg would be proud. This was a free trial of an upgrade that we could actually buy, but we weren't balling enough for that. Who has that kind of money in MVM? Let's be real. Then round 6. Round 6 gives us a plethora of busters, including the War Criminal Buster and the very fast Flash Buster. Now the War Criminal Buster exploded and then put gasoline everywhere. Yeah, war crimes. Whereas the Flash Buster was just very fast. Also, the reusable Sentry Buster returned to convince us to go green. This combination of busters made for a very hectic mission, as we still had normal robots to deal with on top of these, but we got through it. We got through it. Barely, but we got through it. And finally, round 7, the Doomsday Buster. We had 60 seconds until annihilation, and needless to say, I was terrified. Throw crit robots in there, and it was a slaughter. The Doomsday Buster busted and annihilated everything. Ouch. But that was that. We did it. We survived Collateral Damage. It was a very fun mission with a very unique take on the Sentry Busters, which I think is a very fun way to mix up the normal engineer way of playing MVM and kept us on our toes with all these new Buster variants. You know, I didn't expect to be forced to play engineer, but it worked. And the amount of mini sentries and sentry guns we could have was very, very fun. And then we move on to Cacophony of Cants. Cacophony of Cants. Cacophony of Cants. I don't know how to say it, but there was another engineer-only mission, which was very interesting. I'm not sure what this heavy guy is doing. Honestly, really do not know what just happened. This is a very interesting start to MVM, and I think we're in for a very interesting ride if that is how we're starting off. The first actual mission saw the mechanical hordes descend upon us. We also saw various tanks, some spinning, some speedy, and also a big bagpipe playing demo man. Then this happened.
I don't even know where to start with you. I mean, do you even know who you're talking to? Do you have any idea who I am? Basically, kind of a big deal. Okay. Grass grows, birds fly, sun shines.
And honestly, 2 rounds in, I don't know what's going on. I'm here for it, but I don't know what's happening. Round 3 introduced Punch the Mighty, who just fucking died. So much for being mighty, I guess. Then the Heavy Ordeal, which was an army of punchlings that were also light work. You could say there's a cacophony of punchlings. They were all shapes and sizes, but they were no match for this group of Texans. Then there were also the Prince Punchers, who also fucking died. So, I don't know. I don't know why they thought punching would do well against this heavy caliber tripod mounted sentry gun. But, as we expected, that didn't go well for them. Then on to round 4, and this was a very strange round as we required keys to open a force field. But we could teleport past said force field, so I feel like it didn't have the impact it was maybe meant to, if we could just get past it. I also got a telefrag, which was very unexpected, which, you know what, that's going in my highlight reel. Any orgs looking for a professional engineer, I can telefrag robots. Turns out you could reflect projectiles with the wrench, which, when paired with attack speed, created an impenetrable wall. Who needs a sentry gun where you can literally just bat projectiles back at them? This was actually quite fun, despite, you know, being pretty overpowered with the attack speed. Just seeing them be very ineffective was quite funny. Our base had been taken over by Kyle Jade at the end of the last round, so it was time to evict that edgelord. But first, we had some robots to deal with. Then Cow Jade of the Jade Jackasses appeared with his 2 goons, and I got fucking telefragged. Okay, I take back what I said last round. I'm not saying that I clip into the orgs. It was nothing a good wrenching couldn't fix. And then it got spooky, as the final day was upon us. The last Captain Punch! And man, he can really punch. There were 4 last Captain Punches though, which does contradict the name somewhat. How can you be the last if there's multiple of you? I'll have to get back to you because the maths does not work out there. This also introduced the Mindless Machine, who was quite scary to be fair, and it doesn't help the fact that the rockets home in on you, which when you're running away you suddenly turn around and see a massive fucking monoculous eye just running at you. Quite terrifying. After mashing them up though, it was the turn of the last Captain Punchers, and that was that. We had completed the Cacophony of Cants, and yeah, 2 engineer only missions back to back may not have been the best way to play it, but I was going in blind, so can't really mark it down anything for that, and it was actually really fun. Both engineer only missions were very different from one another, which kept it fresh. You know, if it was just another round of different Sentry Busters, it would have probably felt pretty boring. Both very different takes on the MVM missions as well, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It was overall another fun mission with some very interesting enemies and map mechanics that kept it fun and meant we couldn't just set up an impregnable nest and force us to keep moving about. The force fields really helped with that, despite the fact you could teleport past them. That didn't really give you an advantage as you weren't in the right place to fight the robots anyway. And also deflecting rockets with your wrench is also quite fun. I did enjoy that. Then we move on to Croissant Combat. This mission does exactly what it says on the tin. Croissants doing combat. The horrors, as we're forced to play spy in MVM. I don't enjoy that, but at least it was set in England, which is a silver lining. So to get us in the spirit, we're forced to shoot these poor innocent targets with our lethal finger guns. And then it was time for some fratricide, as we're forced to kill baguettes before having to fight the 5 guys. It was a nice little introductory mission to get us used to what we're going to experience in England. Despite being forced to play a Frenchman, it was quite a nice pace. But we did have to kill some of our brothers, which was very unfortunate. Now the real fight begins, and our first enemies are of the vehicular kind. Dump trucks, lots of dump trucks, the pain train, camper vans, jeeps, ambulances, a payload, a double-decker bus, this gun that shoots baguettes too, and a bunch of red robots. Wow, what a hectic mission that was. These robots rolled the dice, and yikes. These explosive baguettes are great too. Then we slapped a giant punchy before more robots decided to roll some dice. Great. These fucking scouts were such a nuisance. They were invincible and you just couldn't kill them. They got all up in your face. Especially if using this explodable baguette gun, you're just getting damaged and you're just dying yourself. You see this icon, you think it's a giant boss. But no. Tiny guy. Minuscule fella. And he fucked me up. I don't know how we beat this wave, but we did. But that mini guy, he was very, very strong. And very hard to hit. Walter. We had to protect Walt against mutant sentient meth, which is not something I thought I'd be doing on a Saturday evening. Together with Saul Goodman, we gave them meth what for. But then we had to fight Gustavo Fring. What an episode of Breaking Bad this is turning out to be. There are also chimps with guns for some reason, which I don't remember seeing in Breaking Bad, but maybe I missed that episode. Either way, we got him. We saved Walter, and the meth was no more. Some giant homing nuke guys got stabbed up in true English fashion. A bunch of flies too, and a gigantic rocket contraption that just started spinning about and killed the flies. More successful than Elon Musk's rocket, I must admit. Then this guy started shaking his ass. The Thug Shaker, to be exact. Wait a minute, I've heard that name before. This guy has shot a lot of balls, but doesn't he know that bread beats balls? Are we blind? Deploy the bread. More giants appeared and we demolished their robots before we were greeted with the final challenge. American bread. Oh god, not American bread. This bread got me, and it truly was menacing. But after a lot of bread-to-bread warfare, we finally defeated the scourge that is American bread. You can thank me later, the rest of the world. Even though I was forced to be French, this was a very enjoyable mission. And while the upgrade system took some getting used to, it was fun using these new weapons, especially the baguette launcher. I'm a big fan of that. Playing a UK based map was very fun too. I just enjoyed seeing the UK in Team Fortress 2. And yeah, overall, very fun mission to be fair. Very interesting enemies, and just a very interesting mission. You know, there's some very, very fun parts, especially the Walter White mission, or the Walter White round, that was quite cool. But yeah, overall, very enjoyable. Mission. This mission was definitely one of the more out there ones this year. The base map was just decoy, but it worked because of the unique additions and parts of this mission. A very interesting experience that you're about to experience with me. Scout loves his ball, but his ball does not love him. And Scout was not happy.
You knuckleheads ain't even worth the F. I am gonna mess you up!
He decided to summon a bunch of Scout goons, but they got fucked up by a big Demolition Man. Thank you, big Demolition Man. But Scout's ball was not gone, and instead turned into a king, before committing. Very interesting way to start off this mission, can't lie. And then for round 2 we were teleported to the back rooms. But these were not just the back rooms, they were back rooms where we had to survive for 60 seconds against this creature. It did get me, but the gang survived, and that's what matters. Round 3 got sabotaged by the engineers, and honestly, it doesn't look that bad. There were loads of different types of engineers, but they were no match for us. And also, a lot of sentry busters too, like maybe too many sentry busters. But with the amount of engineers we had, it sort of makes sense. And then we move on to Squid Game. We played the iconic red light, green light, while some guy threw milk at us. I must have missed that from Squid Game, but maybe it's coming in the American remake. We also beat up the baby. It deserved it, to be honest. I mean, look at it. Little creepy creature. Not only a robotic Frenchman, but also a flying tank, which nobody noticed, myself included. So after one round of the tank deploying the bomb, we finally destroyed it, and these shitty bots too. Then he came, an insane psychopath who summoned schizo shadow clones. They were tough to fight as they just kept cloning. I guess that's what it was like in Naruto. Oh, and torture devices. How could I forget? This was just spooky. I'm just going to let it play out for you, but...
Some help! Spy! Need some help here! I need some help! Help! Need some help here! I'm very happy! Help! Damn it!
This last wave was actually pretty scary as MVM missions go, as we had to run through this maze-like building and avoid dying to a horde of scouts. Now, I will admit, I did die on my first run through of this, and we couldn't respawn, so the name of the game was Speed. It was quite intense, to be honest, but we did it. We had to go through lots of sharp corridors, destroy a tank, avoid all these robots that were trying to kill us, but with the gloves of running urgently on, managed to speed through there, and we did it. We freed them. We beat the final wave. And it's quite high adrenaline, because if you're dying and this is the last mission you need to complete, you've got to be quick, you've got to be about it. So yeah, it was really good. This mission was very interesting. The whole mission itself seemed very off, and with a map that, while using decoy as a base, created a very unique experience with an eerie feel around the map. It was fun. Like, the map felt eerie. Maybe that's because it was set to permanently night or something, I don't know. And the very bizarre use of this Gordon Freeman dummy to make bridges. Very interesting. Didn't even let me feed the birds, man. I was a big fan of the different levels we were transported to. They gave this MVM mission a very different feel, a very unique feel, being teleported to these different levels, like the back rooms, Squid Game, and the maze room. It's all very, very fun, very enjoyable. Yeah, I enjoyed Mission, however you want to pronounce it. Very cool. And then we move on to the final standard mission of Operation Last Laugh. This is Mann vs Machine. Now this was a very unusual mission that takes place in the void. The map is naturally slanted, which makes for a very interesting experience in this first round. And I think that's the best way to describe this whole level. An interesting experience. Epilepsy warning for this one. So round one, you know, it sets the tone for the rest of the mission. Starts off fairly normally with us fighting some normal robots before things start to get weird. Honey, I shrunk the mercs. This time we fought some gnome robots as gnomes ourselves. These gnome knights do pack a punch though, which is strange considering how big they are. The gnomes even had a tank. How on earth did the gnomes get their hand on a tank? But after seeing the gnomes' heavy armour, we had to protect the funny weed plant from the interdimensional interloper, Maxwell. Honestly, that cat absolutely fucked me up. Like, his movement was insane. Seeing me trying to track him with a minigun is just sad, because I cannot hit that man at all. But eventually we managed to take out Maxwell, and we protected the funny weed plant. Great success. And then it was a magical time as we fought mages, sorcerers and spellcasters. Some of them used the spells in game, which were fun to fight. You know, the magic spells we see in Scream Fortress, I'm a big fan of those, so seeing robots use them was actually very fun. And reminded me what we could have seen if there was like a gargoyles and gravel pits game mode in TF2. I can dream, right? We exploded the explosion expert, but the welder of forbidden spells decided to ruin our day. He really did cast fuck you. But through a lot of perseverance and getting absolutely destroyed by his spells, we managed to fuck him up. Something wicked came our way. And let me tell you, it was definitely wicked. This wave is brought to us by Void Juice, but there are also Comedy Juice Snipers and Illegal Juice Pyros. I had no idea TF2 could look like this, but it goes kinda hard. So many juice guys. And this luminal juice got me feeling kinda funky. We then saw the owner of Void Juice, James Percival Void, and while the gang were fighting him, I got hit by these crazy scouts. What the fuck? But after beating the Void Juice hordes, we found ourselves in a horror game, and the atmosphere of this round was great. It really did feel like we were part of a horror game, just in that TF2 art style. A horror game where you find 8 hot dogs. Unfortunately, I didn't find any of them. I don't even know what they looked like, but I had a competent team with me who managed to find each 8 of those hot dogs. We then had to fight Slenderman. Yes, an actual Slenderman, but we just beat that nerd's ass. It was light work. After that, this next round started fairly normally actually, especially in comparison to what we just faced. But then these spies came and everything started going funky again as they started doing Yeti taunts. We were then teleported back to spawn and could not see shit. Could someone spell visitors? They gave us 10 seconds to hide, we got found, and then death happened. But this heavy was smart about it. Oh, never mind. Then we found the dancer, or dancers. Oh, good god. They deployed the bomb, and we just had to run away from somebody. From him. But he found us. And that was that. And finally, the last wave was upon us. And please, just watch this, as it is truly something to behold. Yes, we had to fight Obama. And Obama was very strong despite us not being a hospital in Asia. He transformed into the Obama pyramid before Joe Biden appeared to help out his old chum. He hit us with a Biden blast before they both hit us with American healthcare, putting us in crippling debt, which they then collected on. But of course, as everyone should know, the only way to beat Obama was the Fazbear suits. So we suited up and jump scared Obama and Biden to their death. Honestly, I'm not sure what I expected from this mission. It was a bit all over the place, but it was a very interesting set of waves and I really enjoyed myself. There were some very unique and interesting missions there, and while it was a strange overarching story that tied it all together, it made it very, very fun. Yeah, some very interesting takes on MVM and TF2 there, but very enjoyable nonetheless. And finally, the only advanced mission, for real gamers only. If you're not a real gamer, turn away now, but do like and subscribe. So, The main gist of this mission is that we are robots. Oh, how the tables have turned. Our first victims were these carbine snipers and pyros, but because the CPU were the only ones who could carry the bomb, we had to sort of shepherd them to the hatch. There were man freezer pyros who, you guessed it, froze us men. But the gang came through and deployed the bomb for what would be a very interesting set of missions. I do enjoy playing the robots though, it's a very fun twist. Honestly, round 2, I don't know what's going on here.
Isn't this what you wanted? Your Rising Vengeance is back, baby. It's so clean. The funny moon, the funny bad guy. Revenging status, your Rising Vengeance, and shitpost status mixed together. Don't you get it? It's supposed to be funny. It's a shit cars. But instead the anime character I post on the thumbnail, it's actually your Rising Vengeance Sam. It's the standing beer guy. And don't you get it? It's supposed to be funny. Instead of instead of full anime video, I cut through the middle of it, and I put the cutscene of the Limited Rising Sam guy, and he's sitting there with me, clapping, and you get it? This writing is better than that writing. I have never played a video game.
I'm really not sure what just happened, but we won the round, so can't really complain. Then we had to fight these different types of engineer bots and destroy these giant dispensers. Why are they so big? For what reason? Are we healing Godzilla? Like, what's going on? There are also some idiot laser men. But with help of Pyro, we got rid of those dispensers. Then there was a huge Mr. Dispenser bot, and it was quite scary. We finally took care of Mr. Dispenser before his EX form appeared. Mr. Dispenser has never been so terrifying, especially in his new EX form. But even that wasn't his final form, as his soul then decided to funk on us. It was another tough battle, but we saw it through and eventually finished him off. After the Mr. Dispenser debacle, it was the furry round, and we got turned into furries too. What the heck is happening? Fighting dragons, hogs and chimps, it's a furry's wet dream. Well, I guess not fighting them, but then it summoned the giant Brixen, aka the Colossal Brixenator, which sounds like a burger from Burger King. New, the impossible Brixenator. Also some normal sized Brixens and Killerfish, just the classics. Those Brixens hit hard though. But to be fair, that Colossal Brixen also hit like a truck, just raining fire down upon us. Quite scary to be honest. We had to escort a tank in this round, and we'd instantly complete the wave. But we failed, and he got destroyed almost instantly. There were also some busters exploding shit left and right. They were busted for sure. It all ended with us having to escort this giant heavy. I mean, all he'd do was step foot on the field, and we did it. So we take those, I guess. And now we are giants. I'm finally 6 foot, let's go! It was pretty fun to stomp around as a giant, and although slow, the large amount of health definitely made up for that. The swarm of these giant scouts were tough to break down, and definitely lived up to their name. I think this guy got stuck in the shed as well. Bro's too big for the shed. Then we got fast. I'm fast as fuck, boy. We beat up these giant blokes, and then the hatch decided to run away, and I discovered that I could not aim. I did fuck it up though in the end, so I'll take credit for all of that, despite it was probably my pyro teammate running after it that did most of the damage. But really, I just could not hit this thing. Like, what's going on? It's like Maxwell all over again. Now for the final round, Snake got fucked up.
Colonel, I've infiltrated the Mann Versus Machines event.
Excellent work, Snake. Your mission is to destroy all robots on Blue Team and earn the medal.
Got it. By the way, is anyone else feeling a little motivated?
Killed by a weeb, no less. The Alpha and the Omega Virgil. Virgil had an armoured form that fucked me up more times than I'd like to admit, and this was a very tough boss actually. I kind of enjoy it when bosses are tough to fight, very fitting for an advanced mission. Although, turns out staying in spawn is a pretty good way of surviving, and after multiple deaths, we finally completed it. We beat Virgil, but it was a very fun fight, and having the two different forms, very interesting. And this was a very fun take on MVM. It was fun to play as the robots for once, with a couple of memes sprinkled in for good measure. The mission lived up to its difficulty, as some of those rounds were definitely harder to get through, mostly down to those powerful giant bosses. Very cool and enjoyable though, and that was this year's April Fool's MVM event. All in all, it was a very fun experience, and once again, a brilliant showcase of the Moonlight MVM community and the creativity that community holds. These events never fail to disappoint, and this year's was no different. The fact that they're still creating unique and memorable missions after so many years is very impressive. Big up the Moonlight MVM community. I'm going to leave all their links down below if you do ever want to get involved for one of their future operations, then please do. They're a very welcoming community, and if you have any questions or want to get involved in MVM map making, I'm sure they'll be able to help you. I'm a very big fan of MVM, and to be honest, the missions we have can get pretty stale after a time, but yeah, the Moonlight MVM community are doing their best work, and they're keeping the game fun and fresh, and they do multiple operations throughout the year, which just keeps it very, very fun. So if you do want to get involved, all their stuff is linked below. I've been Over the Giant Tree, and this has been a look back at Operation Last Laugh. If you have enjoyed, please do leave a like, subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.
Hey, oh, I've been up for like 2 hours. 2 hours. Yo, bitch came through, took a few showers. I don't bop, I just money dance, yeah. That wristwatch costs 100 grand.